Hello there. We're going to do another rational function. So, as always, let's start by simplifying our numerator and denominator. Okay, looks like we're going to get this, and we can, from here, figure out what our domain is. So we only have one domain error on this one, and then there's a question about holes, and I'm not seeing that appear in the numerator at all. So this one's going to have no holes. And remember that it isn't just a test that if the 0 appears in the denominator and the numerator. It has to do with how many times they appear in each, and if you wind... So you would get 0 over 0 regardless, but the question is, does it cancel out in such a way that you would be left with something somewhere, or do they cancel out completely? At any rate, this one has no holes. Okay, so that means that the negative 3 over 2 must be a vertical asymptote. And then we can look at when the denominator is equal to 0 to figure out the x-intercepts. And we get 2 of those. So actually one of them is also a y-intercept. We got a y-intercept at 0, 0. Stick in a 0 into this original thing, you got 0 over 9, and that's 0. And then the last question is, what about the end behavior? Now, because we have a cubic over a quadratic, this is actually going to wind up being case 3 for us, and we'll have to perform polynomial division. Alright, so I got to get up to x cubed. 4x squared times what is x cubed? That's going to be 1/4 x. So multiplying that through, and I get x cubed plus 3x squared plus 9/4 x. So doing the subtraction here, remember I'm subtracting everything, those cancel. Here I get x squared, here I get minus 9/4 x. And then I'm going to have to get that x squared to cancel, so I'm going to add a 4th through here. And, can we shrink this? Running out of a bit of space here. That's going to multiply to x squared plus, there's like other stuff, but the subtraction, that other stuff's going to wind up being the remainder. This is the important part. That's going to be my asymptote. So this is an oblique asymptote. Okay, so at this point we've done our analysis. We got both types of asymptotes, no holes in this one, x and y intercepts. So I can start filling that information in on the graph. I think we're going to change the scale on this graph a bit. So one of the most striking things to get is the vertical asymptote. I'm going to have each one of these count to half, so that's going to be back here. I'll also get the oblique asymptote. So if each of these is a half... Okay, so that's my 1/4 x plus 1/4. And then we have other points that we hit. So we know that we hit at 0, 0. And we also know that we have an x-intercept at negative 4, 0. And then the question is, what is this graph going to look like? So I have this vertical asymptote here. I eventually have to treat these. Now, in order to approach this line and then go towards this asymptote, but only intersect here once, and this one's going to go up. Now, this asymptote is actually rather special here, because we were squaring it. So that means it's going to be a volcano, and it's going to have to drop in from the same side. Volcano is not a technical term here, but we are squaring that. Now the other thing that was important here is this part here, at that x squared. That means that it is going to bounce. I'm kind of going all over the place with these directions. So this is coming down from on top because it's a volcano. It's going to hit that 0, 0, bounce off, and then it's going to get closer and closer, probably on the lower side. So we actually do intersect that green asymptote there, and that's okay. It's all about the end behavior, and in the end, the line's getting closer and closer to that asymptote. So this was a special case here where we had repeat powers, higher degrees, and when that's true for an asymptote and you have an even degree, it's going to be a volcano and shoot up on both sides. Or if it's negative, it's going to shoot down on both sides. But you don't have a split where it's going up on one side and then dropping or coming in from negative infinity on the other. Also, we've seen this before, but we had squared an x-intercept, and that means that it bounces at that location. Okay, thanks for watching. Character and Scholarship for Life.